Welcome back, friend. Our generators and manifesting generators, the whole point of this particular design is that these beings are here to be builders. They're here to work. They're here to use their resourceful energy, their energy resource, to build this Maya, to be the worker bees. And I'm not saying you're slaves. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you're here to do what you love and love what you do. And the strategy of this particular type, because this aura is open and enveloping. So this is my aura. I walk into a room. I am enveloping the energy of the room. It's just happening. I am open and enveloping because I am waiting for somebody to request my builder energy. I'm waiting for somebody to ask me to work or ask me for my resources or whatever that is. I am waiting for somebody to ask me for my energy. So that open and enveloping aura is enveloping people so that they can feel it and then they can ask for that energy. So the strategy for these types is response. You're here to respond. And the response is very guttural. It's noisy. It talks in grunts. If you notice throughout this whole movement, throughout this whole course, and when we're conversing in the live sessions, that's what I do. My body responds with noises, and I take deep breaths a lot. I sigh a lot, and that's all just the way that the response of the body works. I also talk with my hands a lot, and the physical body is doing that. It's constantly responding to the energy field. So even though I'm sitting in my home all by myself recording this, I can feel the energy of the person on the other side of the computer screen, and I'm interacting with that, and the body is responding and moving to that. So the not self theme here is the minute that the mind, the conditioned mind, wants to make decisions, the minute that the mind is trying to initiate instead of respond, wait to respond, there is going to be frustration. Because the conditioned mind will take, it'll take us all down a path that isn't healthy for us. So if you're feeling frustration, just take a look. How did you get there? Are you doing something that you love? Are you not doing something that you love? How are you using your energy? How are you using this energy resource up every day? We are like batteries, and we are designed to drain that battery and then regenerate with sleep and, correct fuel. And then we get to then resume using up of that battery. So the mechanics, so there's the sacral always has to be defined. So the mechanics of the generator, there's no motor connected to the throat. So they can have their throat defined, but it's going to be a split definition because it cannot be connected to a motor. And I shouldn't say it's going to be, it doesn't have to be. Most likely it's going to be. And the mechanics of the manifesting generator, the sacral, again, is defined, and then it's connected to the throat. So there is a motor connected to the throat. So it could be any one of these four motors, but the sacral has to be defined, and one of these motors has to be defined to the throat. So it could possibly be a split definition. So for example, say these channels were not here and it was just the sacral to the identity center, then we could also then have the solar plex up to the throat, and that would create a manifesting generator because the generator, it always has the sacral defined. So I hope that makes sense. Again, the aura is open and enveloping. Who am I, and will I be asked? So important for people to ask us for our energy resource. It's critical so that we can then respond. And when we are responding to those requests, I do a lot of YouTube videos. I do a lot of online content. And I create it based off of what people have asked me. Not just an idea, but I create it because people have asked me for this particular information. So as builders, that nonverbal presence, that aura is open and enveloping. The problem, you take in everything and you don't know what to say no to. So they become everyone's slaves and get very distracted. So the solution, be sure you are doing something that you enjoy and that you find satisfying, and that you have clear targets and directions so that you are not distracted by all the other stuff. So here's my hint and tip, because I look at goals a lot differently now that I know human design. So I have my own individuated desires. And through those desires, I do have a vision board. It's here, it's sitting there. And in order for me to move towards those goals, I respond to what people are asking. I put out the content that people are asking for. And then I get to respond to what they're asking. And if they're asking me for something, I write it in my calendar. So for example, with clients. So, when they ask me for a session, there's a response there. I do actually have a calendar now, which says, I'm available at such and such a time, or such and such a time, or such and such a time. So I let people know when I'm available. And if I'm not available, if something comes up in my life, I mark the calendar off, and that time slot is no longer available. So it's about letting people know I am available to be asked so that I can then respond. So same with you. If you're a builder, just take a look at the goals that you've set. Take a look at your targets, take a look at your directives, and just know that you're here to respond. It's not about forcing the mind into that creation. It's about relaxing into the fact that life will guide you to where you need to be. And sometimes it doesn't always look like what we want it to look like. So the presence is open and enveloping. It's like a magnet and naturally attracts people and opportunities to you. So always respond before you engage. So open up your awareness, watch as the opportunities come to you, listen to your gut, respond to what feels right, and only engage in what your gut says yes to. So, Also, the other thing that happens for me, and I'm a pure manifesting generator, as you know from the intro, that I am a pure manifesting generator, a pure express builder. And in my experience, my physical body will lean into an energy. It's like that leaning in is a yes. Pulling out is a no. Or there's times where my physical body actually moves me to places. So, potentially, I've asked a question to the universe, and all of a sudden, my physical body moves me there, and I'm there, and I'm getting answers to the questions that I asked. And it's not even, there's no mental, even thought process about it. And without being able to experience it, that's the best that I can explain it to you. My physical body moves me. The response, that sacral center, it's so darn powerful, it just moves me. It leans into an interaction, or it pulls out of an interaction. So you're not designed to be the go-getter and make it all happen. You're designed to have your energy requested so that you can then respond. That's correct for me, or it's not correct for me. Now again, what I want you to understand is that we haven't even gone over circuitry. We haven't even gone over gates. So there's all kinds of layers of nuances within that response. So we'll get there. Of course, there's going to be layers. So that classic or express builder. The classic builder is the generator. The express builder is the manifesting generator. So always doing what you love and loving what you do. The quality of how you use your energy is the key. It's always about quality, it's not about quantity. And the only way you can ever be truly satisfied is if you're using your energy in an efficient and productive way. Pay attention to what you respond to what pulls you forward, engages and excites you, and your life's work is vital to your well-being. Like, it is vital. Now, without knowing human design, when I was in different careers, aspects of my purpose always were there. Did I know it? Did I understand it? Not really. But once I knew human design, I'm like, oh, good Lord, I've been doing this my whole life. This has always been in the background of everything. So I know that this frequency is there. It is happening. It's happening for everyone. So, classic builders or generators. How to use your energy as a builder. So you are here to get the job done through a step-by-step process. This is important, step-by-step. You are great at building, growing, and maintaining a business. You provide the energy to get things moving, and it is important to be invested, involved, and committed in your work. Nothing more satisfying than going to bed completely exhausted after fully utilizing your energy, doing what you love. As a classic builder, when your work is satisfying, you master and perfect the process of bringing inspiration into reality, and satisfaction is the signpost that you are using your energy in a quality manner. Where you can be pulled off track by overcommitting, never understanding those guttural noises or those leanings in or the leanings out of the energy. So always overcommitting, having a hard time saying no, draining your energy doing something that you are not designed to do or do not enjoy, becoming a slave to everyone else's wants and needs, trying to make things happen, getting attached to outcomes you think you want, not changing direction or adapting quickly enough when needed, and rushing into things prematurely. So frustration is the signpost that indicates that the conditioned mind made the decision as the quantity never outweighs the quality. And then as an express builder or a manifesting generator, you are here to get the job done quickly and efficiently. So in my experience, man, can this physical body work? When it responds, the amount of work that I can get done in a very short period of time, and I will guarantee you that there's lots of manifesting generators out there that will, be going, totally, I agree. I can get a lot of work done in a very, very short period of time when I'm responding. And you know what? If I'm doing it through frustration, I can also get a lot of work done, but it feels very degenerative instead of generative. So you are great at building, growing, and maintaining a business. You provide the energy to get things moving. You have the ability to move quickly from response to manifestation, and you have the ability to quickly adapt and change directions when needed. Nothing more satisfying than going to bed completely exhausted after fully utilizing your energy doing what you love. And as an express builder, when your work is satisfying, you can quickly and efficiently bring an inspiration into reality, and satisfaction is the signpost that indicates the energy is being used correctly. Now, something I also want to say here is that going to bed completely exhausted, this is actually an incorrect statement, so I apologize for that. So you want to be able to go to bed just prior to exhaustion and use the remainder of your energy reading, watching a little bit of TV, even though, that's probably the blue light isn't great for our sleep. But reading or writing or doing something just to, expend that last bit of energy. Don't go to bed completely exhausted and fall into bed. Allow yourself some kind of decompression time, like using the last bit, but it feels like it's just that last little decompressed, energy, like a balloon that's being deflated, and there's just that little bit there at the end. So you can get pulled off track because, I know this very well, being impatient and skipping important steps, getting distracted or off track, overcommitting, and having a hard time saying no, draining your energy doing something that you're not designed to do and you don't love, becoming a slave to someone else's needs, trying to make things happen, trying to initiate instead of responding, getting attached to the outcome you think you want, and rushing into things prematurely. Frustration is the signpost to indicate the conditioned mind is making the decisions. All right, you'll know if you're acting from your mind because the mind can throw you off track with ideas of what you think you should do versus responding. Second guesses your gut response and says, oh no, tries to convince you otherwise. Great. You get anxious and it makes you believe you should initiate action instead of just relaxing into the response. Leads you to a lot of frustration, wasted time and energy. You put up blinders preventing you from seeing opportunities right in front of you. And why? Because when the mind is cluttered, it's like, it's like a hoarder's house. All this stuff is in there, and sometimes there's rooms that are completely blocked, you can't get in, or you're stepping over stuff to get to the other side, or, you can picture it. I hope you can picture it. That's what happens with the mind, because it's so cluttered. It's just trying to figure everything out, and that's really not what we're designed to do. We're designed to witness. The mind is here to witness the experience that we're having. Acting from response. Wait and be actively aware of life coming to you. So waiting is not like, oh, I'm totally stagnant and still and there's nothing happening. There's always something going on. Life is still moving, and when we are in wait, we are still active. So, it's kind of like being pregnant, right? You're waiting 9 months, but the whole time the body is active, creating and building a human being. So this can take many forms: a question, a website, an email, a person, a sound, or a picture, where, somebody's requesting your energy. The gut will respond with an aha, or I shouldn't say aha, I should say uh-huh, or pulling you forward, or pushing you away. Notice what you feel drawn to, enjoy, and are excited about. So notice what gives you a knot in your stomach or gives you an uneasy feeling. Trust that life will come to you and surrender to the magic of life unfolding. And this is the most beautiful aspect, is this surrender piece. When we know that we don't have to initiate and that we can relax into just response, it's so beautiful. So here's some of the generated channels, not some, all of the generated channels, because they have to be able to connect up with the Sacral Center. Now we're going to look at authority. So now that we understand how the aura works, now we're going to go inside and go, okay, well now how do I make a decision? So there's going to only be 2 aspects here. And the 2 aspects are either solar plex or sacral. That's all that can happen with a generator or a manifesting generator. What's always important is that the sacral response happen first, and then for the solar plex, you're waiting to make that decision. There's no truth in the now, and truth reveals itself over time. Now, I've shown this particular graph numerous times. And basically what this is the emotional wave. And the emotional wave here is tribal, builds and it stalls if you are defined through the sacral with the 59-6. And something that's important here is touch. So when it begins to stall out, it's, being able to have someone touch you, whether it be a cat, a dog, a horse, a pig, a snake, your husband, your spouse, your partner, your girlfriend, a child, just comes up and taps you on the shoulder, or gives you a big hug, or whatever it is, something to touch you, to, snap you in and kind of bring you back to, oh, okay, here I am in the wave. I'm not, super excited. I'm not way down in the dumps, depressed. Here I am coming to clarity on when. This is coming to clarity on when you're going to enter in with your energy, or when you're going to pull out with your energy. Because the responses happen. And then the solar plex says, okay, when's the timing? when is the timing for this? And I also want you to know that just because the sacral said, at this moment, because the sacral is saying, I have energy right now, does not mean that by the time you come to clarity and you gain all of the emotional intelligence that you need to about the situation, that the energy is still going to be available. So this isn't about changing your mind. That's not what it's about. This is about honoring the response and the energy of the solar plex. Now, here's something else I'm going to tell you. Procrastination is a mental thing. Procrastination is being totally detached from the response of the body. So if the response is an and the solar plex, after coming to clarity, giving yourself time, 24, 48, 72, 7 days, 3 days, 6 days, whatever that time period is for you, I can't tell you what that time period is going to be. And the energy is still there, and there's clarity around it, and there's emotional intelligence, you can enter in and use your energy. If the solar plexus comes to clarity and there's absolutely no energy anymore for it, done. It's not about what you want, or it's not about what the mind wants to procrastinate or not. It's about, do I have energy and have I come to emotional clarity about it? So this tribal, it ratchets up, ratchets up, ratchets up. Now this is the 1949 and the 3740. This is what the wave looks like. It ratchets up, ratchets up, ratchets up, gets to the top, explodes, comes down. Again, both of these waves need a touch to know where they are in the clarity. So never jump in at the top, never pull out at the bottom, always wait for clarity. There's always going to be this space where clarity exists so that you can drop into that clarity. And I did show an image in the intro to the centers and the awareness module about solar plexus, where I showed an actual wave. And really that's what's happening here. There's a wave pattern, this up, this down, and the clarity happens right in that sweet spot of the wave. So here, this is about passion. And this passion it's individual. We're going to talk about circuitry when we get into the circuitry module. And there's this channel of openness or the channel of emoting. So the 2212 and the 3955 provide this spiky energy. So all of a sudden there's passion and you spike up and you're all enthusiastic and you want to jump in and you want to do it all. And then all of a sudden the spike goes down and it's like, oh, I just can't do it anymore. So it's not about doing anything at the top or at the bottom of the spike ever. The top or the bottom of any wave. The top or the bottom of any wave. Ever. It's about honoring that clarity and knowing when do I enter in with my energy, and trusting that the sacral center will say, you know what, I'm either depleted or not, and I can move forward or not with this request. The abstract, there's desires here. This is the 4130, the 35 or 3635. What happens here is it peaks and crashes, peaks and crashes. And again, never jumping in the top, never leaving at the bottom, but coming to this place of clarity and paying attention to the sacral, the energy resource. I do have energy, I do not have energy. The two key aspects, of course, like I said, gut response, then wait for clarity. The gut answers, sometimes it goes, it might not be now, but you might be able to ask me in a different way or at a different time. And your gut will let you know if you have the energy to commit or not, but you can't trust your gut in the moment. What you need to do is understand your emotional wave and never make decisions on the emotional highs or the emotional lows. You can't trust your gut or the intuitive insight in the moment. It is about, sleep on it before making important decisions. It's not just about 24 hours and just one sleep. You might need 2, 3, 4. You might need a month. You might need a year. Who knows? Patience is that waiting for clarity. Give yourself time to make a decision. So not being tossed about by the wave of the emotion, but waiting until that nervous feeling subsides before making a decision. So as I had indicated in the intros to the centers and those modules, is that nervousness is a part of the solar plex. It just is, because nervousness gives us an awareness. So knowing that you're not designed to make decisions on emotional highs or emotional lows can bring you to a place of beautiful clarity. If you're nervous, there's the timing isn't right. Okay? The timing isn't right. It's always about timing when we're making decisions through the body. Okay, now we're going to go to the sacral authority. And the sacral authority is that guttural constantly responding. And there is no awareness here, okay? The sacral center is an energy resource, and all it is saying is, I have available energy or not. I have available energy for your request. I do not have available energy for your request for my energy. Period. Period. There's no awareness. There's no time that needs to lapse. It's about just understanding. There is energy for this request. There is not energy for this request. That's it. Okay? If it's a ask me later, that can happen because sometimes people use open-ended questions. Open-ended questions are very difficult for the sacral center. The sacral center wants direct questions, wants yes or no questions. If it doesn't know what people are asking it, then it's very difficult for it to respond. So, if you have generators, manifesting generators in your life, ask them those direct questions so that they can respond from the sacral and then move from that place. So the gut needs to be asked questions that are very specific way. It cannot respond to open-ended questions such as, what do you want to eat? That is something that, drives me nuts. I don't know what I want to eat. Give me, say, do you want to eat fish? Mm-hmm. Do you want to eat chicken? Mm-mm. Those kind of things. And really, it cannot respond to a multiple part question. This is something that was like, it was such an aha moment for me. So when I was at the bank, working at a financial institution, I was a branch manager, and that was my whole day coaching people. And the whole coaching protocol that they had there was all open-ended questions. Well, guess where that put everybody in their heads? And sometimes the stories that were made up were insane, right? Because that's what the not-self does. It's an agenda. It will make up an agenda so that, just kind of, let's mosey on here. Let's get out of this so that I can get back to work type thing. So interesting to watch how, if I would know this and you get to know this, and if you have people that you coach, if you have a business that you're running, you then get to talk to people in a whole new dynamic and interact at a whole new dynamic. So what the sacral actually needs is it just needs simple or a series of simple yes and no questions. You can ask others to ask you in a way that works for you. Now, this is the other thing. I asked myself. No, you can't ask yourself because you're in your head. It's just about responding to what the requests are for your energy. It's not about asking yourself, because the mind is going to play all kinds of tricks, and it's going to get you to think that the reaction of the mind that then forces the body into movement was actually a response. So the mind's reaction is very tricky, and most people don't understand the difference between reaction and movement and response. There's a massive difference. Reaction is the mind making the decision and then forcing the body into whatever movement that is going to soothe it, whatever movement is going to soothe the mind. Response, it's just a body movement. Period. It's just the body responding and engaging to the available energy or not. So your gut will let you know if you had the energy to commit or not, and as an express builder, you may need more practice and patience in hearing and trusting your gut response. Now for me, the 3420, that channel of charisma, it's actually a part of my nodal configuration. And the deeper you get into the self-mastery movement and the farther you walk through this with me, you're going to understand that the nodes actually are not the I am, it's the environment, it's the experience, and it's the movie. And for me, my body is constantly responding to fast-paced. There isn't very often that I hear my gut say or when people request my energy. Mostly my physical body just moves. However, when I'm having conversations with people, when I'm making these recordings, you're going to hear me go, I'm making noises constantly throughout because there's a response happening from the body. So I hope that makes sense. Now again, here we are with that generator and manifesting generator. What I want you to do is take your chart and take a look at how are you defined and what is your strategy, what is your authority, and then begin to watch yourself. It's about witnessing your response. And again, huge difference between the reaction of the mind, forcing or convincing the body to move, versus just a direct response from the body. When there's a request for the energy, there'll be a response from the body. But if the request for the energy is not clear, it's not stated in a clear fashion, the mind will create a reaction, and then it will force the body into movement based off of whatever that mind's reaction is, and it will try to soothe its agenda. Okay, so play with that, and we will chat in our live sessions.